Hi, my name's Shan. I'm part of School of Hard Knocks in Wales, and I'm going to deliver a short video now about how to manage online gambling. So I want to talk to you about the problem gambling cycle. Now this starts with the first time we gamble, that first episode where we either win or we lose. On its own, that one episode of gambling isn't a problem, but quite often that will lead to further gambling where we're chasing our losses, trying to win back the money we've lost, or trying to further our wins because we're on a roll and we feel like we can win more and more and more. Now, unfortunately, the gambler is never the winner in this situation, and eventually will run out of money. So the gambling stops. Now, unfortunately, that's not the end of the line, and we're still exposed to triggers that might make us think about gambling and have urges that make us want to gamble, and can very easily lead us back into another gambling episode. And that cycle just continues and continues, and it can be really hard to get out of. So the rest of this session is going to be thinking about how we can break that chain and escape that cycle. So the first thing to think about is what motivates us to start gambling in the first place. Now there are many reasons we might start gambling. It might be that it's an opportunity to get some money quite quickly. It might be that it's a nice distraction from all the other things that are going on in our lives at the moment that we don't necessarily want to think about too much. It might just be fun. It might be something that's entertaining, that relieves some of the boredom while we're all stuck inside, quite isolated. It might be that it's an opportunity to achieve something, to beat the system. Or it might simply be that you get a buzz from waiting to see where that roulette wheel is going to land. But it's really important to know what it is that's driving you on so that we know what to target. Once you've recognised what's driving your gambling, then you can start to do something about it. So if you find that you gamble more when you're stressed, then it's going to be really important for you to find different ways of managing that stress. So you might want to try some relaxation, you might want to talk to somebody, you might want to try some of our mindfulness videos. If you find you're gambling more when you're bored, then it's really important to try and develop a routine for your day. So think about other activities that you can include in that. You might start cooking more, you might set yourself some new goals, learn some new skills. Find activities that are going to provide you with some structure. And if you're just missing that buzz and that excitement that you get from gambling, then think about how you can get that in different ways. Now, exercise is a brilliant one. It's a really good way of releasing endorphins. Now that could be through a home workout, it could be going out for a walk, or if you're anything like me, it'll mean getting your trainers on and going out for a run. So we can put ourselves in the best position possible to try and protect against repeated gambling. But that doesn't mean that we won't come across triggers that make that difficult for us. Now, triggers can be external, so it could be simply seeing a gambling advert. They can be internal. It could be that you're starting to feel lonely or isolated, and that's going to be particularly problematic for a lot of us at the moment. And these triggers then lead to urges to gamble again. And it's really important to try and recognise some of your own triggers so that you are prepared for urges when they come and ready to start managing them. So sometimes we might have urges to gamble. Now, an urge is a desire to gamble. So a kind of almost a feeling of need, like I need to gamble right now. Now, when this happens, what we need to do is surf the urge. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about urge surfing. So let me explain. So if we have the intensity of our urge up here and time along here. So we have urge and time. Now, when we experience an urge, it can get stronger and stronger and stronger over time. Now, normally at this point, we would give in, and if we gamble, those feelings might drop off again. However, that causes us more problems and we're back in the gambling cycle. But if instead we sit with it and tolerate the urge, it won't keep increasing forever. Eventually it will plateau, and it might sit there for a little while, and then eventually it will start to drop. Now, this is called urge surfing because an urge is like a wave. So it comes on and it gets stronger for a while, but then it levels out, and over time it will start to come back down on its own without you doing anything. And there might be multiple waves, so we might find that you get more than one urge. In fact, you probably will. But just like a wave, the intensity of those urges will drop back down. And the longer it is between gambling episodes, then the less intense those urges will get. So over time, rather than being really strong urge and really intense, they start to get more shallow. The waves will get shallower and they'll start to drop. With gambling, lapses can happen. So how are we going to manage that? Well, the first thing to do is be prepared for a lapse. Make an action plan for what you're going to do if you do start gambling again. Identify somebody that you can talk to. Identify some goals that you might want to set yourself. Think about what it is that motivated you or triggered you to start gambling again and how you might go about overcoming that. Second thing is accept that you lapsed. Quite often, if we lapse or relapse, we tend to beat ourselves up. We have awful feelings of guilt and we start self-punishing. Now, if we do this, we're going to make ourselves feel worse. And given that difficult emotions can be a trigger or a motivator for gambling in the first place, we might be doing more harm than good. And then finally is share. Tell somebody, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because managing this alone is 10 times more difficult than managing it with somebody else.